Some stories begin quietly, with a family, a field, and a boy who dreamed bigger than anyone around him. Joseph was that boy. He grew up in a large, complicated family. 12 brothers, each with their own personality, their own history, their own place in the world. And Joseph? He was the second youngest. The one with the bright eyes, the curious mind, and the dreams he couldn't keep to himself. But this isn't just a story about dreams. It's a story about jealousy, betrayal, heartbreak, resilience, and a kind of redemption no one saw coming. Joseph's father, Jacob, loved him deeply, maybe too openly. He gave Joseph a special coat, woven with colors that shimmered in the sun. It wasn't just a gift, it was a statement, and his brothers noticed. They noticed the way Jacob looked at Joseph. They noticed the way Joseph talked about his dreams where his brothers bowed down to him. They noticed everything. Jealousy is a quiet thing at first. A glance, a muttered comment, a feeling you try to ignore. But in Joseph's family, it grew like a storm. One morning, Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers in the fields. Joseph walked miles to find them, probably rehearsing what he'd say, maybe excited to see them. But when the brothers saw him coming, that colorful coat catching the light, something snapped. "Here comes the dreamer," one of them said, and the plan formed quickly, too quickly. They grabbed him. They tore off his coat. They threw him into a dry pit, a hole in the ground, dark and cold. Joseph called out, but no one answered. Then came the caravan, traders heading to Egypt. And the brothers made a choice that would haunt them for years. They sold him. Just like that, Joseph's life changed. One moment he was a son, a brother, a dreamer. The next, he was a slave being carried far from home. Egypt was loud, crowded, unfamiliar. Joseph didn't know the language. He didn't know the customs. He didn't know what would happen next. But he worked. He learned. He adapted. He was bought by a man named Potiphar, an official in Pharaoh's court. And Joseph did everything with excellence, not because life was easy, but because he refused to let bitterness define him. Potiphar noticed. Soon Joseph was running the entire household. But success doesn't always protect you from trouble. Potiphar's wife noticed Joseph too, but for the wrong reasons. When Joseph refused her advances, she lashed out. She accused him of something he didn't do. And just like that, Joseph was thrown into prison. Imagine the confusion, the frustration, the sense of injustice. He had done everything right, and still ended up in a cell. But even there, Joseph didn't give up. He helped. He listened. He stayed steady, and once again, people noticed. The prison warden put Joseph in charge of the other prisoners. Even in the darkest place, Joseph found a way to bring light. One day, two of Pharaoh's officials, the cupbearer and the baker, were thrown into the same prison. They each had troubling dreams. Joseph listened carefully and explained what the dreams meant. To the cupbearer, he said, "You'll be restored to your position." To the baker, the news wasn't good, and Joseph was right. Before the cupbearer left, Joseph asked him for one thing: "Please remember me." But the cupbearer forgot. 2 years passed. 2 long years. Sometimes the hardest part of life is the waiting, the feeling that you've been forgotten. But Joseph wasn't forgotten. Not by God. Not by the story that was still unfolding. One night, Pharaoh had dreams that shook him. Dreams of cows and grain, of abundance and famine. None of his wise men could explain them. And suddenly, the cupbearer remembered. He told Pharaoh about Joseph, the young Hebrew who could interpret dreams. Joseph was brought out of prison, cleaned up, and brought before the most powerful man in Egypt. Pharaoh told him the dreams. Joseph listened, and then he spoke with clarity and confidence. There will be 7 years of plenty, followed by 7 years of famine. He didn't stop there. He offered a plan, a way to save the nation. Pharaoh looked at Joseph and saw something rare: wisdom, integrity, leadership. And in a single moment, Joseph went from prisoner to prime minister. The famine spread across the region, reaching even Joseph's homeland. His brothers, the same ones who sold him, traveled to Egypt to buy grain. They bowed before him, just like in his dream, but they didn't recognize him. Joseph recognized them. Imagine the flood of emotions, the memories, the hurt, the longing. He didn't reveal himself right away. He tested them, not out of cruelty, but to see if they had changed. And they had. The brothers who once sold him now protected each other. They spoke with regret. They carried the weight of what they'd done. When Joseph finally revealed himself, he wept so loudly the whole palace heard. "I am Joseph," he said. "Is my father still alive?" The brothers froze, shocked, terrified, speechless. But Joseph didn't seek revenge. He embraced them. "What you meant for harm," he said, "God used for good." It wasn't denial. It wasn't pretending the past didn't hurt. It was choosing forgiveness over bitterness. Joseph brought his entire family to Egypt: his father, his brothers, their children. He gave them land, food, safety. The boy who had once been thrown into a pit now saved the very people who betrayed him. And when Jacob saw Joseph again, after all those years, he held him and wept. It was a reunion no one expected, but one that healed generations. Joseph's story is long, winding, and full of moments that feel unfair, confusing, or impossible. But through every twist, something deeper was happening. A dreamer became a leader. A slave became a savior. A broken family found healing. Joseph's life reminds us that even when the path feels unclear, even when people fail us, even when the waiting feels endless, the story isn't over. Sometimes the very things meant to break us become the things that shape us. And sometimes the dreams that seem lost are the ones that come true in ways we never imagined.